Paul Seegert, my next guest, worries that the price cap will increase premiums for people who are not on Medicare. He's a managing partner at PCS Advisors, a health benefits consulting firm, 35 partner offices across the nation. Paul, good to have you here.
Good morning.
Well, so the question becomes, will capping insulin costs, which is something that Donald Trump did, Joe Biden undid, and then now has redone. Got a whiplash confusion there, but that's what we got, Paul. Well, will capping insulin costs for seniors increase insurance premiums for everybody? That's the real question here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to do two things that are going to be net negative for all of us. First of all, when you read down into the language of this thing, what they're doing is saying the copay can't exceed $35, and only for half of the folks that take it, the 65 plus crowd right now, that only the copay is affected. So what they're basically going to do is push the balance of the cost into the insurance payment model, so into your insurance plan, which will increase premiums, and because it doesn't impact the overall cost of insulin, is number one. And number two, when you do something like that, these companies will we're squeezing a balloon. They're simply going to turn around and say, shoot, if we're limited over here, we'll just charge more over there. And we see that all the time in healthcare in this country. You have Medicare, Medicaid patients that show up at a facility. They lose money on those patients, so they turn around and charge more to a commercial payer that shows up. And I think we'll see that same impact in the system here.
Well, I guess here's my question. First of all, we should just eat less sugar so you wouldn't need as much insulin. That would be a good start, and avoid diabetes altogether. Right. But insulin's not expensive to make particularly. $3, $4, $5, maybe $10 a vial to make, and yet it sells for a lot more. If you're paying $10 a vial, let's say we'll go to the high end of it, and you're making $35, you're making 3.5 times what it costs to make the product. Is that not a fair return on investment? Listen, I'm a capitalist.
Right.
But, 3.5 times seems to be a reasonable number. But yet, some companies charge as much as $1,000. Insulin pens can range from $45 to $600. I mean, it's how is that really possible? $1,000 for something that costs $10 to make?
Right. We don't have a free market. I'm a free market person. I believe in capitalism with good guardrails. And really, the guardrails should be create the conditions that allow for a free market and competition and so on. We've got basically three companies that have been running this business, and they've taken advantage of the exclusivity rules that we have. I mean, we're responsible for most of the innovation globally here in this country. 85% of the medical innovation and, frankly, other innovation comes from this country because we reward the innovators. But it's getting absolutely plundered. Certainly, I think perverted is even fair to say. When you look at these companies that have they just slightly improve it, and then extend their exclusivity period. They've been doing that game with insulin since 1924.
Right, that's the same way. Same way that it works for medical device patents and other patents. If you you tweak it, you change it some, you can extend the patent for another period of time. Those time periods range depending on what kind of product and what kind of patent it is. But since 1924, you've had three companies basically cornered the market, is what you're saying.
That's right. And then you have authorized generics, which means that are in the market now, which means that those same companies make their own generics, the exact same drug with a different label on it. But they don't have a heck of a lot of incentive to market that product when they also make the brand and can charge a lot more for that, is one issue. Then the other issue is you have these other big players that essentially control people's access to drugs, these pharmacy benefit managers that get to say, yes, the drug is on the list, or no, the drug is not on the list. And they make those decisions based a lot on how much they're going to get. And if the drug is cheaper, they get less.
Right.
Is a pretty simple explanation of it. So those generics, there's a couple of generics that do exist.
Well, there's one out there that is supposed to be on the market next year. Civica RX is a nonprofit company, it announced in March of 2022 that it plans to offer generic insulin by 2024, and that the cost would be no more than $30 per vial. That would be pretty significant. That's just one company trying to to get on board, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll see what happens there. You know, the issue that a lot of these companies face is now, shoot, if they get that accomplished and they go out and sell it at $35, people might look at that and say, who the heck cares if I can use my insurance? That's just such a good value. That would be wonderful. If it is something that has to be accessed through insurance, the challenge that they will face is the same challenge people see today, where existence is not the same as access. So these authorized generics aren't on a lot of the formularies. A lot of the big pharmacy chains don't carry them, and won't even order them if you ask.
Yeah, so there's the problem.
Challenge they'll face is access.
Distribution issues and access. Paul Seegert, PCS Advisors, thank you for being here and helping us see through the fog of this medical condition America is in. Thank you.